the shooting range. In this episode, Pages of History, the fastest World War II SPG, tactics and strategy, new SAM capabilities, and Metal Beasts, a plane that outlived its era. Today's Metal Beast is more than just a new vehicle. Have you heard about the new Battle Pass season? It's called Smell of Victory, and today's vehicle is the main award. Please welcome the American piston-engined strike aircraft. It wasn't frightened by the roar of jet turbines. It served for a quarter of a century. Its career continued well into the jet age, with the aircraft remaining irreplaceable and performing its tasks excellently. We mean, of course, the A1H Skyraider. This machine is propelled by an 18-cylinder radial engine. The fuel is stored in a self-sealing tank behind the pilot's cockpit. Its forward-firing armament includes 4 20mm autocannons with 200 rounds each. The aircraft can also carry regular bombs, incendiary bombs, unguided rockets of various calibers, gun pods, and for the first time ever in War Thunder, a biological weapon. Here's a special Potty bomb. As usual, we'll start with aerial combat. The main and only advantage of this attack aircraft is its powerful cannons and large ammo pool. These 20mm shooters show such a great performance we might as well call them the best among the World War II options. Additionally, you can fix up to 8 miniguns to turn it into a real flying gunboat. What do you think of this, twin Mustang? Of course, the only way to use such a battery is in a frontal attack. But this is a class whose main targets are ground vehicles, and that's where the Skyraider set a whole bunch of records. First, it has no less than 15 hardpoints. Who would have thought a piston-engined aircraft would make us expand the loadout menu? Second, the A1 can carry an insane number of bombs and rockets on those hardpoints. Let's see. 30 250-pound bombs, 18 500-pound ones, 11 incendiary bombs, 242 Mighty Mouses, or is it mice? Well, anyway, this isn't even a Phantom, this is a single-engined deck-based piston aircraft. It just really wants to be a strategic bomber, ignoring some physics in the process. By the way, the A1H is one of the few aircraft where the maximum load limit actually matters. It's 4,337 kilograms. So you can't fill all the hardpoints with the heaviest bombs. Still, even in spite of this limit, the Skyraider does an outstanding job destroying ground vehicles. The number of frags it can get is only limited by 2 factors: your skill and enemy air defenses. With this kind of payload, you're certain to hit everything you want. If you still want something extra, the Skyraider has a secret trick up its sleeve. Or more like on its rightmost hardpoint. It's a unique type of weapon crafted in a secret lab. Its outer case is made of high-tech ceramics to improve aerodynamics, and its payload contains an extra dangerous substance that basically flushes your enemies off the battlefield. By the way, our Thunder Show team can't wait to see your replays with this ammo in use. We even prepared a new Potty record book. All we need is some nice content to fill it up. In our previous pages of history, we shared the ambiguous story of the American turreted SPGs. They were increasingly resembling medium tanks, with the Army using them similar to the Shermans. But how are the light machines doing? Well, their case was much more complicated. It all started with the airborne M22. In the fall of 1941, its base was used to create the T-42 light tank destroyer, armed with a 37mm gun in a rotating turret. It was an odd decision off the start. Why build a new SPG when there's a regular light tank with that gun already? More than that, what would this tank destroyer actually be able to destroy? Germany was already designing their Tigers, while the Panzers III and IV had already received improved armor and new cannons. Strange as it might seem, the issue only came to light in April 1942. with the Army demanding a bigger caliber right away. They did get their light tank-based SPGs, and they turned out pretty good. We mean the M8 howitzers with the M5 tank chassis. Their good mobility allowed them to support the infantry and cover light tanks. One of the machines was even equipped with a 75mm caliber as an experiment, but the base was too small and the turret simply didn't have enough space. The new caliber needed a bigger chassis. So in January 1943, the Americans started working on the T-70 tank destroyer, the future M18. Its armor was made as light as possible, for speed was supposed to be this SPG's main defense. The Hellcats were to surprise enemy tanks at close range and disappear before they could respond. Their high-speed chassis was mostly made from scratch. They received torsion bar suspension, a powerful engine, and hydro-mechanical transmissions. All of this allowed the SPG to accelerate to 70 kilometers an hour in only a minute, an impressive result for tanks. The M7, never reaching mass production, donated its original engine compartment design. It had special rails for repairs that allowed the engine and a part of the transmission to roll out of the hull, and a hatch in front to access the gearbox. The turret had an open top, housing a 76mm cannon and a large caliber machine gun. The Army welcomed the M18 with open arms. Its high mobility and reliability allowed it to cover hundreds of kilometers a day with no failures. The gun, however, was quickly outdated and couldn't penetrate the Panther's front armor. Moreover, the Hellcats often had to support the infantry, and high explosive rounds had subpar efficiency. Naturally, their armor couldn't be relied upon either. The original creators might not have envisioned much more for this vehicle, but the SPGs were often used like regular light tanks, and their unique design features often turned into disadvantages in such cases. The weak gun and armor led to the M18 being discontinued in the fall of 1944. At the end of the war, one machine was tested with the M36 turret and a 90mm cannon, but it resulted in failure. The recoil was too strong and the chassis was overloaded. The caliber was simply too big. Despite many flaws, the Hellcats were in service all the way into the 1990s, although mostly due to dire needs. The Americans gave out the unwanted SPGs to their allies. The tank destroyer era was over in the US just as quickly as the M18 itself was once moving along the battlefields. New vehicles bring new, unique opportunities. We mean, of course, the top Chinese surface-to-air missile complex, the Tor M1. Besides the unusual vertical missile launch, this machine introduces some new mechanics to War Thunder. Let's take a closer look. We'd like to start with a short explanation. All existing SAMs with radar control missiles use a guidance method called the command line of sight, or simply the three-point method. This method keeps the launcher, the missile, and the target all within a single line. By the way, almost all ATGMs in the game use it. The Tor M1 guidance system can use the three-point method too, but it also offers another, more sophisticated way. It's called the half-straightening mode. It's currently exclusive to the new Chinese top, but more vehicles will have it available in the future. In this mode, the missile targets the lead point found on the bisector of the angle between the projected hit point and the target's current position. The half-straightening mode allows the missile to smooth out its trajectory and thus reduce the maximum overload required to hit the target. It's extra important for the 9M331 missiles used on this Chinese SAM. Their maximum overload capacity is just 16 Gs, which means they might not have enough maneuverability in the three-point mode to turn to the target. The half-straightening mode has its own flaws, however. In this mode, the player can only control the missile to a certain extent. So in some cases, albeit pretty rare ones, the missile can hit an obstacle the player would have easily dodged in three-point mode. We must also add that the half-straightening mode requires ranging data, so it only works with a radar lock. Should the lock get lost, the guidance system will switch to the regular three-point mode. With all the advantages of half-straightening, you need to keep its nature in mind. That's why we kept the option to choose which guidance method our players want to use. The default key combination to switch between the modes is Alt-L, and you can see the selected one at the bottom of your screen. There's a special slot showing if the 3-point, the half engagement, or full auto guidance mode is active. The last one selects the best guidance method without any player input required based on the target parameters. Besides the multiple guidance modes, the Tor has another unique feature. It's called the multi-target salvo. This one's pretty simple, both in theory and in practice. Lock onto a target and launch a missile. Even before it hits, switch to another aircraft using the select radar IRST target to lock on, and launch another missile. The only limit here is the angle between the targets. It shouldn't exceed 15 degrees. Well, that's it for the new SAM mechanics. Now it's time for us to answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Moto Mitch. Could you name me all the Australian vehicles? Hi, Mitch. Let's see. Among the aircraft, we have the Wirraway, a couple of Boomerangs, the Beaufort, and the Beaufighter. Among the tanks, we have the Matilda Hedgehog, the AC Mark I, the AC Mark IV, the Centurion, and the Abrams, and 2 ships, the Arrow and the Tobruk. The grand total is 12. Jose Daniel Cotoarce asks, what's the best way to play the SM-91 and the SM-92? Hey, Jose. Try to gain as much altitude as you can at the beginning of the battle and attack from the front. Another question comes from Slonky Donkey. After firing, will the pylons for bombs and rockets still affect flight performance? Hi, Slonky. Yes, they will. That's why we recently added a way to jettison them. You can do that by assigning a key to Jettison Secondary Weapon in Controls, Aircraft, Weaponry. There's also a way to clear your pylons automatically once you spend all the bombs or rockets. Go to Options, Main Parameters, Air Battle Settings. Toby Like Bacon writes, could you do a Metal Beasts on the P-38K? It's a rare but truly good plane. Hello, Toby. This modification of the Lightning is very similar to other P-38 models in its usage tactics. Check out episode 263 when you can, because we talked about this plane there. And the last comment for today was written by Tank Commander. Since you read all the comments, Gaijin, if you respond to this comment, I'll eat a brick. Hi there, Commander. Don't you doubt us. We do read all the comments. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to flush, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.